Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining. I want to welcome Sylvia back. How are you doing today, Sylvia?
I'm great. So happy to be back here. I love the chat and the people on this show. The energy is so high and amazing. You really get your vibration raised just from being in the chat.
Yes, and I can hear you, which means they can hear you. So I apologize for last time you were on. And we're just having a conversation and no one could hear you. I did want to say, because I know people watch this later and they leave comments saying, I missed the live show. So I'm just going to sort of lay out this agenda. So if you are watching this later and you want to join in on the next live show, Saturday the 16th, Eileen is going to be on. We're going to have our Power of 8 at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 12 a.m. GMT. The 17th, which is Sunday, Father's Day, Lori Lothian's going to be on at 3 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. GMT. The 19th, of course, Michelle Wolf will be on at 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. And then on the 20th, we're going to have Alan and Sandra from Twin Flame Divine Fire radio program, which I was a guest on not too long ago. And that's going to be Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. GMT. So if you guys are watching this and you're not on YouTube and you want to join in with the chat, you can join in. Because this is being multi-streamed to several streaming services. If you're watching on one of those other ones and you want to join in on the chat, you can come to YouTube and type in Unbiased and On the Fence, and you can actually join the live show and join in on the live chat. So now that I got all of that out of the way, welcome back, Sylvia. You have, man, I've been really excited about you coming back on because I think your message really offers hope, especially because we all have people that seem so 3D that there'll never be any hope for them or whatever. But, you know, I guess we were all there at one point and we made it out.
Right.
You know, I think when you were on last time, you spoke about your husband was a police officer and everything and just really into the 3D world and everything. And you mentioned something in your notes about a surrogate. And now I'd never even heard of this. So can you explain sort of what it's like to do a surrogate QHHT session or BQH session?
Sure. Actually, I didn't know what a surrogate session was. Like, I had an idea, but when you first start out with any healing modality, like, you're so overwhelmed with like all the knowledge that you're getting that you're like, okay, one thing at a time, one step at a time. Let me, practice doing this, just the basics. And what started happening to me, well, before I get into the story, a surrogate session is kind of like a surrogate has a baby for a couple, for a woman that can't carry her own child. So she takes the place of the mother and she carries the fetus to term and then gives it to the mother. So in a BQH or QHHT surrogate session, you use another body, a person, to take the place of whoever you want to do the session on. And I mean, this is not against their higher self. You have to ask for permission. And then you also ask for who can I use? Sometimes they'll say anybody, or sometimes they'll be very specific with who it has to be. And they do not always say no. I've had clients ask, can I do a surrogate session on my fiance? And they will say no. And so at first I thought, okay, well, they're just willy-nilly saying yes to everybody. But then I got happy to hear the no, because that means they really are, consulting with this person's energy and highest good. And what they told me when they told me no on those people, they said, no, this is a very special, important lesson that this person needs as part of their journey. And this is why they came here, and you can't interfere with it. So I really trust that now that I got the no's, because it wasn't just, yeah, sure, whatever for everybody. No, it's not. So
it's like asking that person's higher self for permission.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's really neat. So
yeah,
do you do that in a session before like say you're doing a session and and it's with someone else, an unrelated person, you can ask at that point.
You can ask, like, say for instance, I'm doing a session on you, and I want to ask, because I mean it's the same source energy. We're all connected, right? So it's like a spider web, and you're asking source. So then this is the fingers or us, right? So I can do that, or I can, when I'm interviewing the person that came to me for the session, and they tell me about their challenges with their relationships or their marriage or sister or whatever, then I'll say, well, you know, this is a thing. You can do a surrogate session if that is something that you're interested in. But and whether or not they are interested, because I'm not going to push it on them. I just want to, you know, this is an option. And then they say, if they're intrigued and they're excited and they really want it, then okay, but we'll ask. So then the first step is offering it if they want it. Second step is asking in their own session, would it be for you know, for whatever highest good for everybody to be done, you know, harm to none, and will their higher self allow it? Will they benefit from it? So then I just include those questions in their normal questions that they're bringing to me. So then in that scenario, if they say yes, yes, they will benefit from it. Yes, yes. Oftentimes they'll want the person that we're doing the session on either to do a follow-up surrogate session or to have their own session. Pretty much the surrogate session is to crack them open, to crack open the resistance. I don't know if you remember from the last show that they showed me like this big fishbowl helmet around the people that are asleep, and it's filled with black smoke. So those of us that are awake have light. It looks like yellowish white or pure white. They're bright colors. But when they're asleep, it's like fog, like black fog, especially if they're under heavy dark manipulation. Like I had mentioned before, where my husband was having nightmares, and then I found out in sessions that they were doing things to him, what I had caught them doing to me. Do you remember that I said that I had caught these beings drilling in my head? And they were telling me that they do this to all of us, but the level of your awareness, like if you're weak-minded, then it's easy to do. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but some people are stronger than others. And some of us are warriors. I mean, everybody on this show, we're warriors. Otherwise, we wouldn't be waking up at this time and going through all the crap that we're going through, honestly. So I feel like the strongest are waking up first, because we're going to have to help people like him and everybody else, you know, that's resistant to it. It's like they kind of hear, but then they don't. So it's like their higher selves are like clinking on the glass and they can't hear it. They're just confused.
And sometimes a surrogate session can help crack that open, which is, I mean, this offered so much hope to me, because I know so many people, you know, they have loved ones that seem like they're beyond the reach of hope. And when I heard that, you know, you, of course, you felt the same way about your husband, and like it felt like he was asleep and he was in this cloud, but you actually do the surrogate session, and then that opens him up to do his own session. So I mean, that's a lot of hope, I think, for a lot of people that might wonder if someone's, because it feels like so many times people are out of reach. So let's get into your story, because it's awesome and I can't wait to hear the details of it.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't know that, you know, like it was in the back of my mind that that existed, but not really, because I was focused on, you know, the basics and just doing straight QHHT or BQH, which the difference is you do it online. QHHT is in person. So I was really focusing on that and just getting my practice sessions out, and like, you know, just, and then anything new that I would find, I would make a note of it, or inspiration that I would get to do. I would practice on myself, or I would practice on my family members, my sister, my friends. I would say, hey, can you be my guinea pig? Can I try this out on you? I'm not going to charge you. Can I do it? And they would say yes. So that's how I would get my practice. Like, I'm not going to charge if I don't know what I'm doing. So it had come up, not in one, not in two, not in three, like a bunch of sessions with people I did not know. That is what was so shocking to me, because at first it came up with a family member, and I'm like, well, you know, like they know my situation, they know what's going on. So like, I don't really trust it. Like, oh, okay, like take it under consideration, whatever, keep it moving. What I'm referring to is that it came up for me to have a surrogate session with him. I did not ask. I didn't. What I would ask is at the end of a session, I'll say, do you have any messages for so-and-so, the person I'm doing the session on? And then, they give me whatever message. And then I'll say, do you have any message for me? And then they'll tell me whatever. Oh, you're doing a great job. You're going to help a lot of people, whatever. So, but then what started happening was you need to do a surrogate session on your husband. And I thought, okay, but that's my family member. But then it started happening with strangers, a woman in Australia, a woman in Perth, a woman in where was she? South America. And then a woman in Kentucky. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Okay. Then it started dawning on me, I kind of knew, okay, yeah, we're all connected. There's all the same energy, but that was proof, because how the heck would they don't know anything about me. They don't know my situation. They don't know what's going on. So that gave me chills. And yet, even though the message kept coming through, I resisted. I resisted because I thought, no, if he really wants to fix things, he's going to do what he has to do, blah, 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 super 3D, no. And then in another session, it had come up previously, prior to all this surrogate talk, in one of the first sessions that I had on myself, it came up that I have a soul contract with him, and that when I see the number 222, because I see this number all the time, and I don't know if anybody else does. I mean, we see a lot of numbers, but this number in particular makes me think of him and only him, and I never knew why. And it would annoy me because if you're not in a good place with somebody, you're like, oh, get away from me. Stop infiltrating in my energy. But when I would see this number, I would think of him. So I asked, why does 222, make me think of him? And they said, because it's your team. They're reminding you have a soul contract to help him, and you need to do this. So then I resisted because, number one, I don't like to be told what to do. And number two, I was like, he can help himself. You know how they say pray for people and you're like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So I resisted for so long because that started coming up in January of this year. Okay. So nope. And then finally I relented. I guess my heart softened, with time. You're like, oh, okay, I don't want to kill you anymore. I guess I'll help you. So I thought they had said you need to use, a certain person. And so I said, okay. And I mean, I had never done this before, okay? I didn't know what I was doing, or I think that a lot of us do know what we're doing, but we second guess ourselves, or I don't know, you talk yourself out of how amazing you really are. So I was like, okay, spirit, I'm listening. I'm going to do it. And I said, I prayed and I asked God, please help me to know exactly what to say, exactly what to do, exactly what to ask, because I'm flying blind here. I had some basics. I researched, I asked other practitioners, and I put a script together, and I was ready. So I did the session with the person that they told me to do it with for him. And in the session, they did a lot of healing on him. And I asked, I said, okay, we're complete now, right? My soul contract, we're good. Stop bothering me. And they said, no, he needs to have his own session. And I thought, what the heck did I do this for then? Because I'm thinking, I was really angry. I'm thinking well, I went through all this trouble, because a session takes a long time. It's not 5 minutes. This is a good 2 hours at least. So I put a lot of energy into it, and I thought, all that for nothing. So I said, what do you mean he has to have another session? And they said, well, he needs, that's the soul contract. And I thought, whoa, I thought the soul contract was this. And they're like, no, he needs to have his own. So I said, this is the most 3D person I know. I swear to you, I do not know anybody more 3D. Okay. Listens, this person is told what to what to do, what to drink. I mean, just how you see everybody in the world act, always going to the mall, always drinking Starbucks, program. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? It felt so monumental to me. And I thought, oh my God, really? So they said, don't worry. we're going to plant the suggestion. We're going to plant the seed. Now that we've cracked him open with this healing, we're going to plant the suggestion, and he's going to have his own session in person. He will agree. And I said,
you were skeptical, huh?
oh my God. I was like, there's no way. I was so angry because I thought, oh my God, I've been bamboozled. Like, I wasted all this time. I got my hopes up, and I thought, whatever. Like,
I got to
okay.
interrupt you too. I just noticed the chat because I was full screen on you and I was into what you were saying. When you were talking about 222, it was actually 222 on the clock here, Central Time. They're all like chiming in.
Do you see?
Yeah, it happens all the time. But I
you.
just wanted to bring it up
Come
for
on.
people watching later. They won't know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually 222, and I've been watching videos.
That's giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I just wanted to say that. Okay,
and do
you
you know?
skeptical and
absolutely. Yeah, and in numerology, 222, the number 2 means like that twin flame, the love, togetherness, both, coming together,
right.
relationships. And so then I thought, oh, well, maybe that's why, I think of him when I see that, because I know that, and I'm taking classes, I'm being trained in numerology. So I'm thinking, oh, well, it's just in my brain, and maybe that's why, you talk yourself out of the magic.
All the time, totally, yeah.
Yeah, so I did, I did surrogate. They said he's going to have his own session. I really thought, this is BS. There's no way. There's just no way. And, I let it go, whatever. And there was a big period of time, actually, that I was not on speaking terms with this man. So I couldn't gauge his progress. And honestly, truthfully, I had given up. I had given up I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, moving on. I have stuff to do. I'm not gonna, just sit there and like hold my breath and wait for it to happen. I was really annoyed, and I was very skeptical. And this is me just barely learning also. So you don't really know how powerful you are. So that session occurred March 24th of this year. Okay. So time passes. And I mean, the universe intervenes. They do what they gotta do, seriously. So what had happened is, we live in a very small town, and there was someone at work who died. They got shot. That had not happened since the 1800s in this town, okay? So that was a huge deal, especially because that is his job. So that was like, whoa. Then right after that, I'm still not talking to him. Nope. Telling myself, nope, I refuse. I'm not going to communicate. Nope. So, ego. And so another thing happens. A few days after somebody gets shot, my dog dies. This is the puppy. He's the baby of all the dogs I have. I have 3 dogs. This dog was gorgeous. He was huge, like a horse huge. And so for his death was so shocking to me. Like, what? He died? And because he was so big, I was forced to call him, because usually, I do stuff on my own. If I need to lift something heavy, I'll ask my kids to help me and we'll lift it together, because, I just get it done. And with the dog, I thought, okay, this is really going to mess with these kids' heads if they have to lift a carcass. I'm not going to do that to them, Yeah. So I was forced to call him. So I called him and I said, you know what? The dog died. I need your help. I need you to help me, bury him and move his body, because I don't want the kids seeing him in the yard. So he came and, buried him, whatever. We had a talk. We hadn't talked in a while, and we finally spoke. So he had asked, have you been doing sessions? And he knows I'm doing this work, even though he threw a fit in the beginning. He had asked, how's it going, whatever. And I'm telling him, oh yeah, it's going good. I was on the show. He was like, whatever. You talking like, whatever. Didn't even listen. And so then he says, well, I want a session. And I'm thinking,
what? So you didn't even present it to him? He came up with it himself?
So he asked for a session.
Oh,
and I'm thinking and at first I'm like, well, is he like joking? Because he likes to throw digs like, oh, it's BS. I don't believe in that, whatever. Like, only what I believe counts. Everything else is BS. And if I don't have proof, then it doesn't exist. So that's how he thinks. So I'm thinking, is he like pulling my leg? Is he joking? Like, so I didn't say anything. And then he brought it up again. And then I said, sure, like, why not? Like, the more practice, the merrier. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't believe him, but, you know, I'll believe it when he's laying here and doing it, right? So I'm like, whatever, okay. So then I said,
And
yeah, we
really,
can.
probably your BS detector was on because he didn't have pure intentions of going into it. He figured he'd just show you that it doesn't work, right?
You know what? That's exactly what his motive was. He wanted to prove to me that you need to get a job, a 3D job. It doesn't matter where, janitor, at Denny's, whatever, because I'm going to prove to you that this is BS and you're living in a dream world and this stuff isn't real. That's exactly what his motive was. He
They're
wanted to
asking,
like wake me up.
they're asking in the chat what a soul contract is. Is that like before you come to Earth, you decide to work together, like the twin flame thing, or how would you describe that? Because they're wondering what a soul contract is, or how would you
Yeah.
best describe it?
It's I agreed to help him. So any agreement you make, and it could be with anybody, it could be very small, it could be very big, just an agreement to teach each other a lesson. So like, I'm going to be the jerk and you're going to be the nice guy and vice versa. And I mean, we have those everywhere. So it's
Oh,
just
okay,
the
so it's
part
like
that you're
playing a
agreeing.
role in
Right.
life, and it's something you decide before you incarnate, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I truly, I mean, I knew that's a thing, but I didn't know that I had agreed that with him for that specific thing, that purpose for him to wake up. So he agrees to have the session. Oh yeah, we'll do it Sunday. And I'm thinking, so he agrees to it on, I believe it was May 4th. And I'm thinking like, you know, he's just saying stuff. And so May 6th comes around and he shows up bright and early, and I'm still in total disbelief. I'm like, just like, is this happening? I thought I was like dream. It kind of felt like when in the last show that I said that I woke up in another timeline. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I felt. Like, am I dreaming? Like, is this happening? So like, it was really tripping me out that this was happening. So I do the session on him, and I prayed the night before. If he shows up, help me, please, God, help me to know exactly what to say, what to do, like, what does he need? Shane, he went down like a ton of bricks. This man was crying. He went to 3 past lives. He felt everything. He said he felt like he was glued to the bed, like he couldn't move. And a sign for me when they're deeply under is when they start licking their lips a lot and they whisper. This man, I would always make fun of him. We've been together for 16 years. He does not know how to whisper. In movies, when he's talking crap about somebody and they're right there, he'll be like super loud. He has a lot of bass in his voice. I have a big voice too, but I would always make fun of him because he can't whisper. In this session, I could not hear him. He was whispering so quietly, and I had to ask him, can you please speak up? So, I mean, this was not him. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
everything different about how he normally is was different. So I was like really getting chills, and my sparkles, those angels that show up, they were there. I could feel like just the electricity in my body. It felt like I drank 6 cups of coffee. So I'm doing the session and like just on a high, just like, wow, this is really happening. So to me, that is absolute proof that a surrogate session works. And if you think about it honestly, it's kind of like how they, well, old school thought is, oh no, you can't do a QHHT online. Well, we've proven that. So it's like we're constantly being shown that our old beliefs are not valid anymore. We don't live in that world anymore. This is a whole new reality dimension. I mean, I'm constantly being proven that what I believed before, the limitations that I had before, are not accurate. In fact, I just did a session on a woman in a van on her cell phone in broad daylight in a parking lot. I didn't even know that was possible. I kept thinking, no, it has to be like this. It has to be like this. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. So I proved again. It's like they're showing me, look, you can do anything. You can do anything. You can do anything. And that's for everybody, for all of us. So that is so exciting to me, because I'm really excited to see, like, if the surrogate session was that powerful, man, I cannot wait to see what happens with his own. Like, I'm just so excited for that. And not that I have like these for the work, not just for because of me and him and whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Whatever is supposed to happen happens. But for the work, like for experiment's sake, I'm very excited for that because I've already proven the surrogate session works. Now I can't wait to see how this turns out on a 3D person. Because I mean, usually there's some people that are unbiased and on the fence when they come to me, but like this is the absolute pinnacle of 3D that I've ever done. So I'm very excited to see what changes come about, you know, like just, I don't know. I'm very excited. Anything
So
is
it's been
possible.
about a month since your session with him?
Yes, yes.
Have you noticed any difference?
Well, the first thing I noticed was he cannot stop talking about it. He's always bringing up his session. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention. So he, I guess, like to give me proof that it was BS, he pulls out his cell phone and he puts it on recorder to record the session, the audio. So he puts it out, and he's still pretending like, oh, he's playing along, whatever. But I think he wanted it for proof to like shove it in my face, like this is BS and you're crazy. So he puts it out. The whole session lasted 2 hours and 22 minutes, and that's what it said on the phone. 2:22 when he pressed stop on the recorder. Another sign. Okay. So I'm thinking, I was blown away when I saw that, and I was just in shock. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing, because I'm not going to tell him, because it's just going to go over his head.
Right. It just sounds crazy to other people.
Right. So he actually said that felt so real. I felt like I couldn't move. I felt there was one point where he got out of a life and he was in spirit form. I wanted to take him to God so he could meet God. So I wanted to see where he would go. And at one point, because some people, they call it leapfrogging. Instead of going to the other side, they go to another life. And it's unpredictable. So it's kind of hard to tell where they're going, because until they give you more detail, then you're like, what does it sound like? And so based on what they say, that's how I base what I'm going to ask, like, to get him deeper into the life. So at one point he had been like a gladiator or something, like I'm guessing he was wearing like the gladiator outfit and all that. And he gets killed. And he said afterwards, when I'm asked, we're doing the wrap up, he tells me, I saw my death as soon as I landed in the life. I was seeing my sandals, the outfit, the braces that they wear, but I saw my death first. But he said he didn't say anything. So then we lived through the life, and that's how he died, a sword in his stomach. So that's when he was crying, because he saw his children being murdered in that life, and he was just sobbing. And I'm thinking, whoa, this is so cool. He's crying. So like, that means it's real. You can't make that, especially with a dude. Come on. They're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to cry. A woman, okay, we're more emotional, but a man, especially a 3D man, he's not just going to voluntarily. Exactly. They've been conditioned like a soldier, right? Yeah. So he's crying, and then so I'm trying to take him to the spirit side, because I want that experience for him, like open up to God, get closer to God. So I'm trying to take him to the spirit side, and I'm asking, he's flying, he's in spirit form, and he has his hands in the ocean. So he says, it feels so free. It feels like I'm flying. And he has his hands in the water, and he said that water felt so real. It felt cold. It felt fresh. It felt like water. And he was there for a while. And I'm like, okay, where else are you going? Come on. So finally, I'm thinking he's in the spirit side. So I said, okay, well, what do you see? And he's like, there's gates. And I'm thinking, oh, well, the gates of heaven. And then he says, they're letting me in. So they're letting him in. And then he's like, there's a long line. And in other sessions, that's how they describe it when they're going to go talk to God or the angels or whatever. And, they're in line. And I said, what, are you wearing the same thing as everybody? Because usually people say they're wearing white. But this is why you can't assume, because every session is totally different. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, I know where he's at, right? So I'm thinking he's going to say white. He says, I'm wearing maroon, red. And I'm like, what? And then in my mind, I thought, oh yeah, you're in hell. I'm like, seems legit. Yeah, you're probably in hell. And in my head, I thought that. But then he was in another life. And I started laughing so hard, like inside, because I thought he was in hell, but he was in another life. So finally I get him out of that. And he finally goes to the other side and they tell him your journey's not over. And I think for some people, they can only tell you as much as you can know right now, and they can't blow your mind too much. And your higher self will gauge, like, what level is this person? They'll meet you at your level, whatever level you are, or whatever level of resistance you have. That's where they will meet you at. They're not going to show you anything that's too huge that you can't wrap your head around.
Or
So
that'll mess you up or something, get you off track. They want to keep
like,
you.
Right. Like Dolores would say, they give you baby spoonfuls because it'll blow your mind. You can't handle it. It's too much. So after that session, he says, I am so proud of you. Okay. He said that. He said, I'm so proud of you. You are seriously undercharging. That was amazing. And he couldn't stop talking about it. He was telling everybody. And I'm like, what? Because I didn't say anything. This is he's just talking and talking and talking and telling everybody and bringing it up, and he kept bringing it up with me and the kids and just bringing it up and then referring to it and then giving me new information about the lives and, oh, I didn't tell you this and I didn't tell you that. And I thought, who are you? Like, what's going on? So that's amazing. So I thought, awesome. Okay, a really big seed has been planted, like, and it can only blossom. I mean, you can't ask for anything more. That's amazing.
Has he been asking for another session or anything? Or?
No. I can't wait for that, though. That would be really interesting.
He's still blown away from the first one. It sounds like it's going to last him a while, though.
And it doesn't even matter. I'm just so excited that I got that opportunity and I got to experience that with somebody who I thought was going to be resistant forever. So that gives a lot of hope for all of us. Like, I think that we don't realize what level of progress somebody is at spiritually just by looking at them. You can't tell, because I mean, this is all happening on a level that we can't see. So there is hope for everyone.
Totally. So let's see. Let me I wanted to move into, if you don't have anything else with him, I mean, we can talk about that later when you come back, if he does another session or if any other developments come with that whole thing, because that's really encouraging. But you had other sessions and that talked about earth changes and everything. And I put that in the title because I think this is really important to know, because this goes out to a global audience. So although it won't affect everyone, because we all live in different areas. Some of us live in earthquake zones. I mean, look at Hawaii and some of the places where we've had volcanoes go off. So this is sort of wanting to put it out there on the radar so people know that things with the earth are going to be happening, but it's nothing to fear. It's all part of the overall plan. And many of us need to be grounded. So I thought, what better way than to bring it up in this? This isn't pushing the whole idea of fear, but actually quite the opposite, that changes are happening, natural changes are happening, and we will be less fearful if we know and expect and see them happening, if we know they're coming, right?
Right, exactly. And that is the key, is empowerment. And honestly, what came up in the sessions can be applied to life right now. Like, you don't need to be experiencing some cataclysmic event to apply what they said to your life right now. And I often refer to the session and remind myself, because you forget. I'm constantly reminding myself, like, okay, come back down, quit thinking 3D. So I'm just going to read from the notes, from the script notes. And I did want to mention on a side note, astrologically, that Uranus just clicked into Taurus on May 15th. So that just happened last month.
Exactly a month ago. Yeah.
Exactly a month ago. And Taurus represents the earth. It represents the earth, the food, the actual dirt itself. And Uranus represents change, massive change, like a thunderbolt. Think of lightning. Just like if something is not working, Uranus will come in and bulldoze. Nope, nope, get out of here. This isn't working anymore. And it's just mass change, but for the highest good. So if you are resistant to changing something in your life, Uranus, wherever you have Taurus in your birth chart, is going to come in and bulldoze everything that you are refusing to do for yourself, because it's going to help you. It's kind of like you helping your baby to walk or whatever. You're going to take over and you're going to do it. So if you're resisting. So I found that very interesting that happened. And now all this stuff about earth changes is coming up, and everything happening with Hawaii and Mexico. And it's everywhere. In California, they've had earthquakes too. I mean, minor, but I feel like this is just the beginning. So we really do need to be informed and very discerning with ourselves. So if before we had to really monitor our frequency, our vibration, our energy, now more than ever, because this is really linked to the earth changes. So it came up very weird, just like the messages in the other sessions telling me that I had to do the surrogate session. I didn't ask. It just came up. They were telling me. So I asked, do you have any advice for me? Like I always do. Or like, do I have any messages? And I had already been talking to God. So God said, be calm. Remain calm no matter what. I said, why are you telling me to be calm no matter what? Is something bad about to happen? And I thought it was going to be like in my life and, you know, financially or with him. So I'm thinking like, what, because my dog had just died. So I'm like, what, is another dog gonna die? Like, what's going on? So God said, don't worry, I'm with you. Me, can you tell me exactly what it is? God, earth changes, natural events. Me, how can I prepare? God, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Me, how can I do that? Do you mean like having extra water and food that doesn't spoil, like that? God, yes, it wouldn't hurt. The most important above the physical is the mental and emotional. Me, how can I prepare mentally and emotionally? God, stay in your center, remain calm, spread light, do not give in to panic or fear, no matter what you may see. Me, won't the dark energy be on a feeding frenzy with people's panic and fear? Is that why? God, yes. Your reaction will dictate your experience. And then that made me think of life all the time. Like our reaction dictates our experience. So if you blow up, then everything just starts going south. And that's what you become a magnet for. Or if you just don't blow up and you're just calm and you give yourself a beat, you know, to take in what's happening and like respond with more a loving reaction or a more calm, you know, handling your energy, like then everything comes out smoother. So
and it helps others that are around you to see that you're calm in the midst of the storm as well. So I think it's not only good for ourselves, but it can spread that calmness to others. Well, you know, they always seem weird, but they're calm, and they talked about this, but they're calm. So, you know, maybe I'll be more calm about handling this whole thing.
that's true. That reminds me of like a parent with kids. Like they base their reaction is mommy's okay, so that means everything's okay. But if you freak out, then they're in just total freak out mode. So it's the same with everybody. You're absolutely right. And the energy is contagious. So like we want to make sure we're giving out the right energy. So God says, yes, your reaction will dictate your experience. The level of fear or panic or calm will manifest. So if you have fear and panic, that's what's going to manifest. If you are calm, that's what's going to manifest. This is a very huge test for light workers, an initiation. Master your energy. You control it. It does not control you. When you give in to the fear, chaos will amplify. Then the dark will take over your experience. So it's kind of like this is your experience. And if you're freaking out, it's like, here you go, dark. You're giving it to them. You're giving them the keys to your car. Me, how will I know what to do? God, it will come to you to know what to do. Me, what exactly will be happening? God, it will be different in different areas for different people. Everyone's experience will be different, even if they are neighbors or living in the same home. Water, wind near you, no fire at your specific location. Me, so it will be a natural disaster. God, a natural earth event caused by the spiritual battle taking place that has accelerated. So going back to the everybody's experience will be different, even if they're neighbors or living in the same home. That also made me think of right now, because you if you're vibrating at a higher frequency, you could be having an amazing day. And then like your sister, your brother, whoever, your spouse is having a miserable day, and they're like, "Oh, it's a horrible day. Everything's going bad." And you're like, "No, it's not. It's awesome. It's amazing." So that made me think of that. And so it will be a natural disaster, a natural earth event caused by the spiritual battle taking place that has accelerated. The dark may try to disguise it to amplify panic, fear, confusion, chaos, energy. It is very important not to give in to that. Me, what is the best thing for me to do? God, stay inside. Most will run out for help. This is not wise. Your home is your shelter and it protects you. If you know you are safe, then you are safe. Believe that you are safe. You will see neighbors and people running around in complete panic. Stay inside. Me, is there anything we can do while we are inside? God, pray. Send light to people, to humanity, to earth, to your loved ones. Meditate. And he gave a visual of me and my kids meditating and sending light to people. But I mean, we can all do this. Me, can you tell me anything else to prepare? God, be prepared to see death. It will be surprising who dies, not people you would expect. In parentheses, I put old people because that's who we tend to think, oh, they're weak, they're older, they can't handle it. But he said, no, it will be surprising who dies. It will be caused by different scenarios, such as suicide, heart from fear or panic, car crashes, not just the natural event. So I think it's probably based on their reaction, what they're causing or what they're feeling maybe. But then he said, these are not punishments. Those souls have chosen to exit at this time. And that made me think of my dog. He chose to exit at this time. It is not to be feared. Remain calm and aware at all times. Comfort your children, comfort your pets, comfort your loved ones. If you can help someone, do so, but then immediately cut them loose. Because I had asked, well, what if I'm like at the grocery store, out and about? And he said, if you see that you can help somebody without hurting yourself, he said, do not put yourself in the line of fire, so to speak. Like, don't do something stupid. This is survival. So you have to be smart. Because, you see people like in movies, going to rescue somebody and then they die. So he says, you need to take care of your children. So focus on yourself, keeping yourself safe. But if you can safely help someone, then help them and cut them loose. Don't stay with people. You need to get home. So for everybody to get home. And I said, why is staying inside the safest? He said, do not mix with the zombies that have been taken over by fear. And that really reminded me of how everybody's saying, oh, the zombie apocalypse is coming. Well, it's really here because those are the people that are programmed and asleep. And they're the ones flipping out about war and all this stuff because they're creating it. So he said, the weak-minded that get overtaken by the dark can infect the strong. That's why it's important for us to remain in our safe haven, because you don't want to get infected with the fear, because fear is contagious. Even if you're a strong person, if you're centered, it's not difficult to get caught up by somebody else's chaos and somebody else's freak out or their reaction. So I guess he's saying for you to maintain and ensure that your experience isn't as horrible, just make sure you're in your safe home. And he said, find all the good things that to be grateful for during this time. So grateful that you have shelter, grateful that you're together, grateful that you have water, that you have whatever food you have, that you're okay, that you're aware, that you know this ahead of time, that you're prepared. I mean, you can never be really prepared, but I mean, this is important. So find all the good things to be grateful for at this time. Laugh, joke, sing, play games, tell funny stories, share funny memories, lift your vibration and each other's vibration, bring your pets inside. So that was the whole session.
That's awesome. And I can imagine, like, in times like that, you know, all this disasters happen. You're like, hey, I guess I don't have to go into work today. That's something to be excited about. I know when I was in the grind, I'd be like, oh gosh, I just, well, anything, you know, to break up just the mundane. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, that reminds you of kids. Like, yay, my school's on fire. I don't have to go to school.
Yeah, it is tapping into that childlike nature of us and just being excited. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we talked about. You know, it's like, of course, you know, people in 3D will look at it and like, how can you be happy at a time like this? There's great loss of life and things like that. But that's sort of the 3D perspective, because, you know, the 3D perspective is, oh, that's the end of their life. They're gone forever. But no, like you just said, they chose to exit. And exit doesn't mean that they're just gone forever. They've just left where we are now and they've gone somewhere else. It's not like the end of them, period. It's taking that higher perspective and saying that something bigger is going on here than what we see in the 3D, and to just embrace the change and know everything's happening just as it's supposed to. And like you're saying, be ready, be prepared, and keep your vibes up. And I think even if you're stuck in a situation, like say your area floods out and you do have to go to an area where everybody's gathering because maybe your area was flooded or whatever, you can be the calm in the midst of that storm, because all it takes is one person there panicking to get everybody panicking. You know, what are we going to do? Whatever's going to happen here. And you can be that calm in that place. So just know that if you do get stuck in a situation like that, where it's not safe to stay in your home and you're in a group setting, a community setting, that you might be the one voice in there that keeps everyone calm. Just like one voice can really have everybody freaking out, you can be sort of the calmer there. So I think, you know, everything happens like it's supposed to. And if you end up in a place like that, that might be a reason for it. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly right. It makes me think of like when my kids were babies and I would have to go to work and they would freak out if I left the room. That separation anxiety. So you can equate it to like how the 3D see death, where you're like, I'm not gone forever. You know, I still exist just because I'm not in this room with you in front of your face. I still exist. And I mean, this is, we constantly get proof that our loved ones still exist in sessions and in channelings and everything. I mean, we're not gone. We're just somewhere else and we're still helping. We're helping from the other side. We're still, you know, and I love what you said about the helping if you get sent somewhere, because that's your mission. So every day we wake up, like that's our mission is not complete. Continue to do the work. And like, that means you have a purpose. You're there for a reason. You know, that is your soul contract. So take advantage really to spread light to everybody. But most importantly, practice right now. Practice maintaining your energy, maintaining your vibe, you know, really controlling yourself and not just, you know, popping off like you used to. Like, let's start practicing this, because when it's go time, it's go time. Boots on the ground. Let's go, people. This is not a drill. And I feel like we're going to be called to action. We are really going to be like, okay, let's see if you can walk your talk. Show me, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing that you pointed up in the session about the media might, I mean, just turn off your television when stuff like that's happening, because you know they're going to be pushing fear on television and everything, giving you things to worry about. Just know that it's their job to turn this beautiful transformation into something to be feared and to spread the fear. And, you know, they love that loosh, that fearful energy to feed off of us. So, yeah, so don't feed them. Don't feed the negative entities.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we can practice right now. And there is a lot of astrological events that are lining up that are matching the energy. I mean, everything is like, you can see it. If you know anything about astrology or Google it, you can watch a YouTube video on it and it explains everything. It's like laid out, like, this is the plan. This is what you agreed to come here for. This is what you agreed to do. So, I mean, we really have a lot of power, and we can affect our experience and others' experiences. So we have a big responsibility.
I think one part of your story that I wanted to go back to, because I know sometimes, we feel like we should do something that we really don't want to do. And like you had with your husband, doing the session with him, you really didn't want to do it. And I just like how everything synchronistically lined up. I mean, of course, you had the dog die. That's sad and everything. I'm sorry for your loss, but that led to him having to come around. And then he actually offered. You didn't even ask him. You were presented with him right there. You could have asked him, but you were resisting it. Because you
I
didn't want to
was.
do it. And he turned around and asked you, and that's mind blowing to me. But that's exactly how things work out. Not to ignore that. I mean, most of the time when it's something big like that, a lot of times we don't want to do it. So you'll know, because things will keep coming back around like it did for you, until you finally had to accept the fact that, oh, I can't ignore it anymore. It's right in my face. I'm going to have to do a session and look at the good that came from it. So let that be an encouragement to you guys, and not to ignore those things, because, you have the whole Jonah in the well thing. He kept ignoring it until he ended up in the belly of the well
Oh,
for 3
wow.
days, because there's a higher purpose, that we have a higher self that's agreed to do something, and we have free will. But this is just part of us. So we have this other part of us that agreed to do something, and that we need to be in alignment with that higher self, because there's a bigger plan at work here.
Right, absolutely. And I think that it wasn't that I didn't want to do it because I really, really wanted him to have it. I think it was my 3D mind thinking I don't want to get my hopes up, because all the other times he has let me down, or all the other times it didn't happen. So we tend to do that. It's like you self-sabotage. And it's like God is saying, I'm giving you what you want. And you're like, nah, it's not true.
It's almost like you were limiting it, the possibility of it even being able to
Yes.
happen.
Right. And because it was something that had to happen, it's like the events lined up perfectly. It's like, nope, this is gonna happen. Like the momentum behind this is so great that you can't stop this train.
I love
So,
that.
and that, if you look back in your life, that has happened more than once. That constantly happens, even now. It's happening right now, and we don't even realize it because we're so busy looking at what we don't have to notice, oh, look at what I got. I got all this. So we need to really pay attention to that, and like be grateful and happy when that stuff happens. And I have to tell myself that too.
Oh yeah, me too. And it's sort of like the more you look for those things, the more you see them, and that's what
Yes.
leads me to believe that everything seems so orchestrated. Once you start really paying attention and noticing things, you're like, oh, I'm really here for a reason. It's like kind of like a movie. There's never a scene in a movie that's completely pointless. And once you realize that in real life, you're like, there's never a scene in real life that's completely pointless. If you ran into someone that you knew from a long time ago, there's a reason for that. It's not just a coincidence. There are no coincidences. And the more I pay attention, the more I realize that, we're all here for a reason. We have roles to play, things to do. So, with the surrogate and the sessions, how can people? I do have your links that I had last time below, but is emailing you the best way for people to schedule a session?
For now, yes. Emailing sylmolera@gmail.com, sylmolera@gmail.com is the best way. And I can do a QHHT session in person. I can do a BQH online. We can discuss surrogate sessions, whatever you'd like, at any level of healing or wherever you need clarity. It is very helpful, or just to get the ball rolling. If you don't know what you need to know, they'll tell you what you need to know. And also, I have a YouTube channel that I started after the show with you. It's called Odyssey of Enlightenment. And I post a daily rune divination for the collective. And it is so freaky how accurate that rune reading is in my own life. And then others tell me, and that is, again, just validation, because you tend, again, to doubt, like, oh, well, this isn't real. And then everybody's like, oh my God, that was so accurate. And I'm thinking, yeah, me too. Like when I first read it and post it, I don't believe it. But then because I posted the night before, but then as the day goes on, I am so creeped out by how creepily accurate it applies, and not always in the way that you would think it would apply. Like sometimes you tend to think it's going to be romantic, but then it could be another kind of love, like with God, or like just a deeper connection with someone. So like we don't limit yourself. It can, you know, present itself in a myriad of ways.
That's awesome. And I'm adding that below in the description. YouTube channel. I just found it.
Did you want to tell them about our Mandela Effect?
Oh,
Before the
yeah. Yeah.
show?
Let's do that because that was so trippy. I'll let you tell them.
Okay. So, right before we're going to come on, I'm sitting here waiting for Shane, and I have my laptop open, but I also have my cell phone next to me. And I'm sending him messages on the cell phone, but I'm waiting here for the camera. So, a notification for YouTube pops up on my phone, and it says Sylvia Molera live in 11 minutes on, and 11, how appropriate, 11 minutes on Unbiased and on the Fence, and, you know, giving me a notification of the show. But what was so weird was it was a picture of when I got fired from the sheriff's office, and it was a picture that a journalist who did my story, who wrote about my story in the local newspaper, took of me wearing a green blouse and standing in front of mountains. The Arizona mountains were behind me. So, and I messaged Shane, oh, you Googled me and you found the picture of when I got fired. And I put LOL. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he sends me, he's like, no, I used the thumbnail of our previous show. And I'm like, what? I didn't send you that picture. Like, I'm still thinking the fired picture. So I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm like, no, it was when I got fired. And he's like, no, this is like, you crazy woman. This is what the picture is. So he sends me the real picture, totally different from my picture. And I'm thinking, we have no time for me to research and like show you my picture. So I'm going to do that after this. And I was like, whoa, that's our own personal Mandela effect, that you saw a different picture and I saw a different picture. And how amazing is that, right before a show that is based on the Mandela effect?
Yeah,
like, I love it. I love it.
And it's the picture that's the thumbnail now. When the show ends, you'll see the picture pop up, or it'll be the thumbnail later on. But I actually took a screenshot from the last time she was on, and then I put up the words on there and posted it, and I sent it to her, and she's like, no, this is completely different than what just popped up for me. What popped up for me was this image that, you know,
that I
was
took
taken a while
literally
back.
like 2-3 years ago, and from like the darkest time in my life. And I'm like, what? Like, they're messing with me.
It sounds
So,
like it. You're
yeah.
actually going to be on Talk is Cheap with Dan, are you not? Is that this Sunday?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure when he's posting it, but we filmed yesterday, and
Yeah.
we had so much dark interference. They did not want me to talk to him. I'm talking an hour on, we tried Google Hangouts, we tried Skype, we tried Zoom. Nope. I could hear him. He couldn't hear me. He could hear me. I couldn't hear. And I mean, it just kept going on and on. And I am so grateful to him for not giving up, and so proud of myself for not giving up. And you guys take it as a lesson too. Don't give up. Don't let them win. Because if we had not persevered, the message would not be getting out. So please, if you want to spread light, do not let them stop you.
Oh, whenever it happens to me, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good one. You know, they're already, that's how I think, you know, and it happened when I was on with Dan too. We were having problems with the sound, and I had to go to my other computer to get the sound to come through, but it actually worked out better because I was able to show thumbnails, you know, so it,
See?
you know, not to give up,
Yeah.
and I'm, that's one of my things is finding workarounds. So it's like, I'm a problem solver. It's like, I never go down in defeat. It's like, okay, if that doesn't work, I'll figure out another way around. So
Right. We're warriors. We're warriors of light. We're soldiers. You got to do it. Do it. Accomplish the mission. And we're not going to give up, and they're not going to win. And claim your victory every single day, in every moment. I'm constantly having to do it because you have to pep talk yourself. You have to, you know, lift yourself up. And because when you're lifted, then you can lift others.
oh, she's saying, are you saying it posted 1 hour ago? Oh, it might have posted 1 hour ago.
Oh, dance?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
I
not
think
sure.
that's what Diane's saying. So, if it's not available, he might put out 2 shows this week. But if it's not available right now, it will be available Sunday. So that's awesome. And what else do we have here? Oh, we had Candace Carl Goldman was in the chat. So
Oh,
big shout
cool.
out to her. And I
Yeah.
actually do have the BQH
You have the
directory.
practitioners, the
Mhm.
the quantum healing.
QuantumHealingPractitioners.com. You're in that directory.
Yes,
So,
I'm in that directory, and if you want somebody in your area, you can go there too. I mean, it's not just limited to me. There's tons of us. So
oh, that's the other
please.
thing I was going to ask you. What general area, if somebody wanted an in-person one, is there like a major city that you're by or anything that you want to mention?
Yes, I'm in the middle of nowhere on another planet, it feels like at times, but I'm south of Tucson. That is the biggest city that I'm near because I'm on the border to Mexico. So I'm on Arizona. I'm in Arizona, but in between Tucson and Mexico. So I'm at the bottom. That's why I've been doing a lot of, I've done some in-person sessions, but mostly online BQH because of that. But I feel like Spirit is really pushing this new direction because that is the wave of the future. And Uranus rules electricity also. So a lot of people are going to start, exploring the internet and really sharing their messages over the internet. I did want to share some astrology advice if we have time.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. We got plenty of time. No rush.
Okay, so I have my notes here. So we do have the new moon that we just had on Tuesday, I believe it was, June 13th. The new moon was in Gemini, and Gemini rules the third house of the zodiac, which is communication. And Uranus, that's one of the big boys, he just went into Taurus. So Uranus is the highest octave of Gemini. The ruler of Gemini is Mercury, that rules speaking, communication, the internet. And so many of you might be experiencing like insomnia and like a lot of anxiety. So you have to really ground your energy and really work out, push out that anxiety. The best way to push out that nervous energy is to move it. So the the universe is asking you to empty out, kind of like when you have a bag that's full of stuff that you don't need anymore, throw it out. And the way you throw it out is by moving your body. And then that way the higher frequencies can come in. And that will help you so much if you're feeling low or just really nervous, because we're picking up everybody's energy right now. And Gemini, because it rules communication, rules the written word and the spoken word. So be very careful. This is super potent manifesting energy right now. Anything you
Guard your
say,
tongue.
yet not only that, but change it. What you tell yourself in your mind, what you think about. Be really discerning right now because you're going to create that. So flip it. Like we changed the internet and we're using it for our good. Flip the communication. Let's manifest what we want to see. Tell yourself, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm magical, I'm successful. Whatever you want to create, change the verbiage in your head. So anything you write, be very careful. I already had a slip up last week where I said something that I regretted. I didn't regret it then. I meant it then, but I regretted it a week later. And then seeing this, I thought, like follow your own advice. So please be careful. Bite your tongue. When you want to say something nasty, don't, because it's going to come back to bite you later and you don't want that. So just, let everybody say what they need to say, do what they need to do, but you manage you. Then we do have a lot of planets going retrograde. We have 3 of them right now. So retrograde kind of means like they're asleep or they're going backwards, which is a time of like reflection and pause. So right now, if you feel the urge to start something, to do something, if you have an opportunity, take advantage of it. If you feel inspired to talk, to share something, to apply for a job, whatever it is, do it. Do it right now, because next week it's going to start. The retrogrades are starting. We already have 3, but we're going to have more and more and more and more. Next week it's Neptune. The week after that it's Mars. Then we're going to have Mercury. Then we're going to have Uranus. So it's like they're all going to be asleep. And right now we are, it reminds me of Angela Gabriel, who said that her son showed her the visual of like the timelines collapsing. That's what we're doing right now. We're dealing with old karma. So with all these planets in retrograde, that's what we're dealing with, the karma. So whatever needs to come up, let it come up, but don't resist. Just breathe and okay, let whatever needs to happen happen. Don't cling to anything. Don't cling to it, because what if there's something better? And there always is. It's always something better. So don't look at it in a negative way that, oh no, I'm losing this. Yeah, but you're gaining this, you know? So really pay attention to that. I really encourage everybody to start using this energy for their advantage, for our advantage. Start writing out your manifestations, dream, do that thing that I shared last time where you visualize and with the frequency music and journal it and like really envision what you want to see in your life, and let's create it.
Yeah,
It's
don't limit,
high magic.
don't limit ourselves. We do
Don't
that a
limit.
lot. You know, we think that's impossible, but
I
that's why
did it.
I like to point to the Mandela Effect, because I see things that I think are impossible happen all the time with that. And it's like, if all these things can change miraculously and appear to have always been that way, then, you know, nothing's impossible at this point. So that gives me a lot of faith when it comes to, no matter what your situation is, it can just change in the blink of an eye. And you're like, how did this happen? It just appeared to have always been fixed. You know what I mean? So it's amazing.
Right. Tap into the infinite potential, because everything is infinite. There is no set amount of money. There's no set amount of love or anything. So please don't limit yourself. And right now is super duper potent magical energy. Let's take advantage of it and use it for us.
Yeah, that's why I like how the law of one refers to the God energy as intelligent infinity, because it's intelligent, it's smart, it can do anything, and it's infinite. So it's like this infinite resource we can all tap into at any time, and we put the limits on it. We put the, you know, the possibilities on it, but really there is no limit. Anything's possible.
Absolutely. And like we just saw, like 222, come on, that being the time when I'm talking about it, that is so cool. I
It
love
is.
that.
That happens all the time, and I love when that happens. It's like I flip back to the screen and everybody's freaking out about it. I was like, yeah, I don't know how many times I've been watching a video. Like I started at some random time, it seemed like, and the guy talks, he's talking, I think it happened with Everyday Master's case, and he's talking about, you ever get synchronicities and you look at the clock and I look down, it's 11:11. I'm like, what?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, more than, and you know, I still have people around me that's like, it's just coincidental. You just have, I'm like, no, you know, the odds of that happening like that, it's just, it's
Right. And I feel,
astronomical.
yeah. And don't you feel so sad for them? Like they're denying the magic, the most beautiful part of being here. Like, come on. It's
Definitely.
amazing. I love it. It's so exciting. And it's proof. It's our guide saying, look, you're capable of anything.
Right. I mean, at some point, it's like it happens so much. It's almost like you'd be crazy not to see that it's beyond coincidental. It's like, dude, this happens way too much to be coincidental, you know?
Right.
So,
And then at the most the times that you really need it, it's kind of like a very uplifting. Like I'm just going to send you this little spark of magic because you need it. And it always
definitely.
works because I always
Definitely.
smile.
Yeah, definitely. It works for me that same exact way. So I'm so thankful. Dustin Allman says 222 is my ascension number. When I
Cool.
recorded with Shane, I hung up. It was 11:11. It happens a lot with stuff with people.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
it is amazing. And then the length of a video also. Like, yeah, I was about to end it. Let's see, we're at 108. So yeah, if we talk for another minute, it's probably going to be 111. We would have done it on accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know. And then
now I've
I
ruined it. So
wonder. Yeah,
yeah, now people would be like, you did it on purpose now. So
right. And I wonder, like, did I push it or is it just magical? Did it happen by itself? Because then you start arguing with yourself.
exactly, definitely. Yeah, because you don't have to make it. You don't have to force it. It happens.
No, no. Yeah. So I can't wait to hear everybody's stories of what they manifest after this energy. Or I encourage you, have your own session. Go like experience this for yourself. It's so cool.
Yeah, and Candace was pointing out how surrogate sessions can also work when someone's deaf or other situations when maybe somebody can't do it for themselves, but they can have somebody sit in for them. I found the link to your show and I pasted it below. It says "Talk is Cheap with Sylvia." You can click that link. That just came out today, and it's also in the chat. So I'm going to go check that out, and I do appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely have you on in the future.
Great. Thank you. I love all of you. Thank you so much.
Be sure you guys go and subscribe to her channel. She didn't have her channel the last time, so it is linked below as well. And I just subscribed because I didn't know about it. So
thank you.
So lots of love and light to everybody in the chat, and thank you again for coming on, Sylvia.
Thank you, Shane. Bye.
And bye-bye now.
Mm-hmm.